our view is always, until you get sales orders for one thing, keep your inventory low and then order based on that inventory.
All right, here we are back with No Followers Podcast. T. Bob, another week, another topic that we're addressing in the incubator and with our members and with our clients is inventory. How much you really need. What should you be focused on? We just got out of a long conversation about inventory, and it really depends on the stage that you're at with your product, but it's been at least 35 seconds and T hasn't said anything, so I'm going to let him say something now.
I just thought it would be refreshing for you. I just figured I'd let you get all the words out now before I jump in and take over. Thanks for tuning into my podcast. No, Bob, I think this episode I'm just going to play devil's advocate the whole time, just to give people a sense of what it's like, you know?
Don't I play devil's advocate with you like 24 hours a day?
Yeah, I'm trying to flip the script.
Okay, let's flip the script then.
No,
all right.
It's you're so one
Is this
thing,
the devil's advocate part?
No.
Oh.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know the answer. Tell me what to say.
I never know what you're going to say.
I like to keep people on their toes.
I like it.
The big thing with inventory is what stage of development are you at, right? So we talk a lot about proof of concept and then prototype and then MVP.
And then the iterations to manufacture.
Exactly, yeah. And so in our view, when you're talking about like stacking up inventory, you should have sales. Well, I shouldn't say in our view. In my view, if you're stacking inventory, you should have sales. If your plan is let me accumulate inventory and then get sales, it's one thing to have starting inventory. That's fine. It should be scaled to your demand, what you anticipate your demand is.
So I'm an on-demand person from past experience where I failed miserably by keeping that big inventory. But
just-in-time inventory.
Just-in-time, right? But, and we just dealt with this with a client who came to us with a product with thousands in their house, thousands of products that had never been tested, had never been marketed, anything, and they were just going to sell them online. When you're in that continuum from proof of concept to manufacture, every step you go, you probably need more than you had the step before. And you can disagree with me anytime you want. Because as you get deeper into the continuum to manufacture, you need to test it more. You need more people or more customers or more users using it so you can get better feedback to iterate to the manufacture-ready product. This person, we recreated the product, and their first question to us is, let's place an order for 2,000. And the argument, because it became an argument, was we only need 100. And that's what we're going to do because we already have 100 test sites trying this product out. This is after months of being in our system, months of these conversations, somebody already living through the mistake of making 1,000 that never sold.
6 figures worth.
6 figures worth, right? Mm-hmm. It's just, so we thought this was a good topic because a lot of people think they have to have the product before they sell it. If you run out of product, in my world, greatest problem you can have.
Yeah. You want me to play devil's advocate?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you even know what devil's advocate means?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
I do. I'm going to be British in this example, isn't it? All right.
I hate these
Well,
accents.
Bob.
These accents
Bob.
suck.
What if I have orders and not enough product then? Love.
I can't even take you seriously with that.
Right, so I'm just playing devil's advocate. Well, what if I have so many orders and not enough inventory?
That's great.
What if I sell out?
Then tell people there's a waiting time, and if they really want the product, they will wait. Don't lie to them and say it's in the mail and never shows up. So great devil's advocate, by the way. I'm very impressed with, not the accent though.
But I mean, it is I exist in the hard product world. It's a delicate line to balance. One thing is if you have conversations with distributors or retail stores, something like
That's
that.
a different conversation.
Well, that's
now.
what I was going to say.
Okay.
Is so you didn't have to jump down my throat
I'm
about
trying
it.
to be in this episode. I'm trying to be T. I just talk over you.
But I was going to say that is a different conversation
Yes.
because now you're going to have a different sense of scale. You could still get burned. They could not receive product. They
That's
could,
a risk.
and that's
Yes.
up to your contract and all that. But for a lot of your products, you're going to be at initial stages where you're testing the market and you want enough product to validate, but also iterate. Because let's say you make 1,000 products and you've gotten some market validation and now you start selling and you get feedback. Let's just go with you get feedback.
Good idea.
And it necessitates a design change or it necessitates a supplier change. You had problems with the initial run. You had defects, you had packaging defects, you had shipping problems, right? Let's say you make a great product and it's 8 feet long. Well, you're shipping it freight,
Yep. And most people don't know that.
you know?
They don't even look at shipping costs to
Yeah.
consider in their business model.
So now you have something that could have been broken into 2 pieces and shipped any UPS ground or air, but because you left it at 8 feet, you got to ship it freight. So that changes your entire shipping cost model and probably your price.
And what you were saying also goes back to our model of sprints, right? Everything's based on a number and a timeline. Here you go. So if you make X products, you also can start setting up some of your operational sales, marketing, BD to figure out how fast you move it for future orders.
Yeah.
Are you
Yep.
crying?
I am. I'm emotional.
You don't like being English and devil's advocate.
I'm an English devil.
Was it English, though? I don't think that's an
Oh.
English accent.
I think so.
I don't think so.
You got to turn all your THs to Fs.
I
What's-
don't know. I don't know where you get useless information like that from, but
That's what I think.
okay.
Isn't it?
I can't wait for me to get DMs from the UK.
Feedback's going to be tough on this one. Feedback's going to be tough.
This is awesome.
But
Okay.
we did talk in passing about just-in-time inventory, right? It's funny.
And we live in a time where that's more possible than it used to be in the past.
Especially if you have manufacturing partners.
Right.
If you have partners in manufacturing that and you have agreements worked out and you know what it takes and all this stuff, you understand your process and how to make your product, you know what your holdups, right? If you have a bill of material with 100 items on it to make one run of it, some things you can stock, nuts, bolts, things that are inexpensive on a singular basis, add up to a significant expense, but are not cost prohibitive, or are not such that if you do a design change, you need to totally scrap them. If I'm buying inventory, I'm going to buy enough of the things that no matter what I do to the design, I can use or reuse them, right? So I may make the design shorter and longer, whatever, but I'm still going to use that bolt. So it's not a total loss. And for large companies, the whole point of just-in-time inventory being invented was because inventory was the enemy. You know, inventory and WIP, work in process, because it's money out and not in, and it's sitting. So they try to minimize that. They try to minimize products sitting on shelves. And the other part is focus less on inventory, focus more on distribution. How are you getting your product into the hands of people? Get a waiting list.
Yeah, well, I love waiting lists because it also proves interest, demand. It also is something we take if we're going to scale a company or a product to investors. We have already proven it, and there's numbers that can prove it. I'm just going to use a story from the past before we ever did this together, years ago.
Sure.
In the old days.
Yeah, in the olden
We got
times.
to deal with QVC that we could not do because we had to provide them in warehouse with 10,000 units of a product that we would have to produce. And the agreement said that there's no guarantee of any sale. That was an immense risk that we decided it wasn't, and we went direct to a manufacturer rep situation that we can control because we didn't have the cash flow to sit on 10,000 that were just going to come back to us. And we did another deal with them where they took it and they shipped like 70% of it back much later when we were a little more established. And we had to eat all that cost. So you have to consider all of that. You know, those big deals look really important, but usually the risk is on you all the time.
Well, and we talked about this and looked into it for some of the Fabro products. And one of the things that is forefront when you look at those agreements, like we were looking at a home culinary thing, I won't name. But the agreement is very forefront, and it says in big, bold letters, any purchasing decisions you make, we are not liable for. So what that means is, if we give you a contract for 10,000 units and you buy 10,000 units worth of material and $200,000 worth of equipment to make it, and then we decide not to take it, we are not responsible for that. You cannot take them to court and say, well, you did this, and you're not going to win. Yep. You're going to lose.
It's like the letters of intent. They don't really mean anything.
Yeah.
They're nice. They're nice talking points, but
yep.
From a business point of view, they're not really worth anything.
Well, and you said something important to me at the time, which was I was making the product as a way to bankroll the bike development. And you said, like, you can make these things and you will get them as a customer, and two things are going to happen. One, you're going to have to float 1 year's worth of expenses because that's how long it's going to take for them to pay you, which was true. And two is they will be your only customer because you will have to spend so much time and energy on them, catering to them and what they need. It is not going to be, this is a great tangential product line. It's going to be, this is our business. And so that's why we decided to take a different route with it.
That sounded pretty intelligent.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first and last, as they say, Bob. First and last.
Only need one. Come on.
But, so when you think about inventory, if you have the bandwidth to be able to sit on inventory and not move it, then that's your risk profile. But for the most part, focus on validation. And if you're pre-revenue talking about inventory,
forget it. Well, the other things people never think about is all the risk you have in inventory. You have the storage costs, and then you have to insure that because things happen to buildings, to material. We had a product once that got infested with bugs. I had to throw it all out.
Well, and keep in mind, too, your insurance is usually based on a little bit of noise in the background. It's usually based.
I like it.
It's usually
it drowns out what you're saying, which is perfect.
So your insurance is usually based on your revenue for the year, right? So if you say, "Oh, I just need to be insured for blah blah blah," and then you go, "I need $400,000 worth of product," you better be insured for $400,000 in revenue for the year. And then so now if you don't sell all that, not only are you sitting on the product, the inventory, and the WIP, you're sitting on all the overhead that comes with, like the storage costs, the insurance, all the other stuff that comes with housing it and not selling it. So our view is always, until you get sales orders for one thing, keep your inventory low and then order based on that inventory. People can wait. I mean, I know we live in a world where everything's on Amazon and available instantly and yada, yada,
It's not always. I order things, they don't show up right away.
I've found that communication goes a long way.
Yep.
That's what people
Set
want more than anything.
expectations.
They want to know, when can I expect it? When can I get it?
And the capitalist in us, if you have a large waiting list, that probably means a few things. One is your price point might be the wrong price point.
Yeah.
So you can actually make more profit. Mm-hmm. If you have a long waiting list, and we visited a few possible locations that we're going to do live events.
Yeah.
They don't supply all the liquid that people will buy, and their prices just keep going up.
And it does go to your market, right? Which market are you a luxury good or a need-based good, or what is it? But like, I love to use Porsche and Ferrari and all those as examples. They have a certain number of allocations. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you get an allocation. You have to meet their criteria. And then you have the ability to order it. And if it's like paint to sample or custom built, you wait. We'll wrap it up. Follow us, like, subscribe, follow the sponsors. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.